Welcome, everybody, to Write Better Together. I'm Jon Meyers. Hey, look, everybody, it's Emily Brooks.
Hello, Jon Meyers. And hey, look, everybody, it's Stephanie L. Jones.
Oh, wow. What the heck?
Still Stephanie L. Jones.
Emily, what? You think she can tell we were talking about her? What are we talking about today, Stephanie L. Jones?
Okay, we have quite the list today. So
Oh,
we have
yes.
Sarah Vessely, who has been on before.
Yes.
And she's going to talk about You Too Can Be a Public Speaker. Plus, we will get to hear a little bit about her new book. We get to talk about how we got out of our bubble. You will have listener responses. And then, obviously, our interview and chat with Sarah. Hey, Jon Meyers. What the Bee? What are we reading? And the final act.
Boy, man, you just tore right through that list. There's a lot there. How'd you get out of your bubble?
Well, it's my husband's birthday this weekend.
Today?
No, this weekend. And so we went out to dinner and went shopping a little bit, which we're not shoppers. So, but we just went a little clothes shopping. And
for him or for you?
We both got something. So, yeah. We're doing family pictures. So he needed a specific color of a shirt for family pictures. And he actually found it, which I was grateful because I thought, oh gosh, we're going to take forever. So
with the new dog?
Actually, the dog will not be in the pictures because it's with my parents and my sister and brother. We're doing a little vacation and we are leaving the dog at home. So I honestly thought about asking the guy, can you Photoshop the dog in? What about you? How did you get out of your bubble?
What makes you think I got out of my bubble?
Well, I'm sure you did.
Well, funny you should ask. And funny that we have, as our guest, a young entrepreneur. Because I went to, I can't say the name of it because I'm in an undisclosed location, the Young Entrepreneur Market Fair. And there were 66 booths of little 6 and 9-year-olds, half the age of Sarah, that were running their own business. And
oh my gosh,
there were like bakeries and cookies and drink, like there was a lemonade stand. There was probably of 66 booths, I'd say 20 of them were crochet. And
I love it though. Kids being creative.
I got this little guy right here from Kelsey's Crochet Shop. Which I kind of feel, you don't know this, so I kind of feel like I'm cheating on one of our viewers crochets Lauren, and there's links sometimes in our show notes to her business. And see, look, he's wearing the Write Better Together colors.
That's
this little
adorable.
Cow. And so now the cow has a chicken friend, and there's one more little animal, but I'm not going to share it because maybe I'll share it on a future episode. And I met a celebrity there. How about that?
Who?
Hold on, I'll show you. I'll let you guess. It's not as big a celebrity as Paddington. When I met Paddington, that was my dream come true. But it's almost as big. I'm waiting for guesses.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't even know where to start. Matthew McConaughey.
Pete the cat.
Oh,
look at gosh. Pete. There he is. And there's the 66 booths. So you know what? I was telling the truth. Pete, I did not get a picture with me and Pete the cat because he was just mobbed, man. So I don't have a picture like I have the picture with Paddington. And speaking of celebrities, did you get a hold of Michael Essany yet?
Oh, I did do some research. According to ChatGPT.
I spelled it wrong in the previous episode.
Yes, you did. And it came up with nothing. I went to his Facebook page since 2015 or something. And then I tried to click on the link to the website multiple times. I couldn't get it to work. And then I stopped. But I did attempt it.
We couldn't have done it without you. Thanks.
I did attempt to look him up, but that's all I got. I don't even know if he's still around here.
Man, you'd think he was like, cause you would have saw him when you had time to go shirt shopping for your husband. You think maybe Michael Essany was working at the shirt store or something.
Nope.
All right.
You got listener responses?
Oh, I do. Speaking of getting out of the bubble, our book, not your book, but mine and Emily's book, got out of its bubble.
Ooh, where'd it go?
Well, first I'll read you the response. So this was a viewer response from Emily Rhinelander. We know her as Miley, and it was a response to episode 54. Do you know who the guest on episode 54 was? It was you, Stephanie L. Jones. now you're...
I'll remember that of the Milan Indians, the 1954 state basketball champs.
You were just a guest back then. Now you're the guest host. Who knew such progress? Anyway, Miley says, I've been experiencing more self-doubt lately. Well, that's not good. She needs to watch more of our episodes on self-doubt. This morning, I took my Write Anyway book to the Walter Anderson Museum in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. I sat under a huge live oak and read chapter 7, When You Don't Believe in Yourself. That's a chapter that Emily wrote. Aww. I read, and the resident cats shared their space with me. The cats and chapter 7 revived my perspective and kept me from tumbling down the hollow, lonely pit of doubt. And I have a picture of the kitties eyeing our book suspiciously. There's cat number 1 eyeing the book suspiciously. And then apparently these cats live outside the museum.
Okay.
And there is a different cat and his house and our book down in the corner. Still, the cat. Those cats need to open the book up instead of just leaning it up against their house. What good is that? No wonder she's filled with self-doubt. The cats aren't reading the book to her.
We have quite the guest. Oh. Sarah Vessely is a 19-year-old Christian author and speaker with a heart for storytelling and a message rooted in grace. Through her writing and speaking, Sarah encourages college-age women to see their own stories through the lens of grace Jesus offers. She travels around to speak to women at conferences, events, and retreat. Sarah's talks are deeply rooted in scripture and contain a refreshingly relatable story. When she isn't writing or speaking, she loves spending time with her family, watching movies, quiet mornings with the Lord, and honest conversations about faith.
Wow. That's going to be a great interview.
I know. I can't wait. Well, it'll be the second time we've had her on the show. So,
yep.
First time, though, I was a guest with her. So I wasn't co-hosting. So
you were mentor-mentee.
Yes.
Now she's outgrown you. No. Now she's mentoring you.
Always learning.
Hey, everybody. We're back. I'm still Jon Meyers. Oh, my goodness. Now there's 2 of you in the box. What has happened? Stephanie L. Jones. I know you just introduced her, but why is this person here?
Yeah, Sarah Vessely.
Yay! Why are you here, Sarah?
Why am I here?
You're here to interview Stephanie, I think. Is that the real purpose? Last time on a previous episode that Stephanie and Sarah were together, they were guests, and now Stephanie's a guest host and Sarah's the guest. And so much has changed. How long ago was that?
Like 6 months. Yeah, maybe 6 months.
6 months. So much has changed in 6 months. Tell the world what has changed. How the caterpillar has blossomed.
I started writing a second book, and that's coming out soon.
Oh.
And I'm also a paid public speaker now.
Yes.
So I've done 3 events, and it's really fun. And I also feel like 6 months ago, I was kind of torn between like what I wanted to do, and now like 6 months later I feel very like steady with what I'm doing.
You have more confidence in what you're doing.
Yes.
So I like that you underscored paid speaker. When you got the check, how did it feel?
I don't know, like I did a day's work kind of.
Yeah, like you got paid at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And how did it feel when you took it to the bank?
I had my dad do it for me.
Because
My dad works at a bank,
Yeah.
so
the reason I ask, I don't know anything about like what other day jobs you've had or if you've had any, but it's one thing when you're paid for whatever, making sandwiches at Subway or serving coffee at Starbucks, and it's a totally different thing when you're paid to share your thoughts with an audience.
Yeah.
How
That
did
was
how
my first.
Go ahead.
Speaking was like my first job.
Oh.
Mhm.
Well, that's a story right there. I like that.
well, I want to ask her something, because something on her first paid speaking engagement that she had, remind the audience, Sarah, give us like your age, when you graduated, and then how you decided to take a different path than a lot of your friends, if not all of your friends.
Yeah.
Maybe set the stage for everybody.
So I'm 19 right now. I graduated from high school almost like exactly a year ago. And at that time, all my friends were like going to college, and I was like, that's the like normal route, if you will. Like everybody's doing it, and they all have their major picked out. They all have their dream job picked out. And I remember sitting there at graduation, and I felt this like uneasiness over me. Like, I don't know where I'm gonna be in a year from now. Like, I was so scared. And Stephanie heard all my thoughts about my future. And I just kept praying and praying and praying, because every time I was like, I'm gonna go to college, I was like, I feel like that's not the plan for me. Like, I feel like I'm not supposed to go to college. I feel like I'm supposed to pursue like what the Lord already put on my heart, and like what I've been doing for the last, I guess, 4 years now.
Yeah,
and, like,
in writing.
Yeah,
yeah.
and like continue to like do that. And then I decided to take my own path and kind of see where it led me. And then I kept meeting with Stephanie each week, and I felt like more opportunities kept like coming up, and more things kept happening, that I was like, okay, like this is the like right path for me right now.
And I do want to say with that is like probably up until maybe, so her first paid speaking engagement was right before Easter, so at the start of Lent, so that would have been in like March, I think. And even up until that, you were still looking at colleges.
Yeah.
Like, share a little bit about that. So it wasn't like right after graduation you were like, I'm not going to college. It literally was like 2 months ago. Share a little bit about that, because then I want to lead up to that speaking engagement and ask you a question.
Yeah. So up until that, I still felt kind of like, since all my friends weren't home, I was the only one that was home, and everyone's posting about their college and how much fun they're having and how they're so excited to be there. So then I kept thinking, like, am I missing out on that? Like, am I taking the wrong path? And so I kept just praying about it, and then I kept like applying to colleges and kind of trying to like take over like the planning for my future, instead of like letting it kind of just happen. And so I was trying to plan everything, and I kept changing like what I was going to major in to try to make myself like satisfied almost, and I never like felt that. So yeah, up until like 2 months ago, I was like set on like going to college, and I was like trying to pick a college, trying to pick a major, and then the speaking engagement happened.
Yeah, and I want to hop in there because I think it's important, especially if maybe you're a parent, you're a writer, and you're a parent listening to this, is well, I want to come back to that parent, but you know, I'm mentoring her, and she's telling me all this, like, we're going to go on these college visits, where, you know, maybe I'll major in this. Oh, I applied here. And I just knew, I felt like God had already told me that that was not the path for Sarah, but I kept my mouth shut because I did not want her decision to be influenced by me. I knew that Sarah is a prayer. I had seen her over and over again, listen to the Holy Spirit. And I knew that if she continued to pray and be led and be convicted, that she would get there without my influence. But it was so hard to see her like, I'm going to go tour this college. I'm going to do this. So, but something so cool happened is it was her first speaking engagement. And I mean, packed audience, this is what she had been working for. And tell us a little bit about like you being up there, what you felt, and as an author, like, she had her book there for sale and was meeting people, but maybe share with that. And then I have a follow-up question.
Yeah. So when I got there, I was terrified. I'm like, there's like probably about like 60 people here. Like, that's so many people. Like, they're going to not like me, all this stuff, because like the like doubt kind of like gets in your head when you start to get nervous and you think about how things can like go so wrongly. And I got up there and I started talking, and probably halfway through my talk, I felt this like peace like wash over me, and this like thought like popped in my head, like, this is what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. And like, I was at peace with that. Instead of being doubtful trying to choose a college and a major, I was like, no, like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So it was really cool moment to like feel like the Holy Spirit kind of, I guess, show me in a way, like, this is the path for you.
Do you want to talk about when you got off stage? I asked her when she got off stage, she came to the back and I was back there. And do you want to share what you told me? Do you remember?
I don't remember what I told you.
I do, because it was such like, it was that moment. She felt it on stage, but when she got to me, she said something to the effect of like, this is what I'm meant to do. Like, this is what I'm called to do. I knew it. And what I'm proud of her about, and I think this is a good lesson if somebody's listening to this and maybe they haven't published their book yet, like they're still in the writing process, or maybe they want to be a speaker and they're just like trying to figure it out, is it takes a lot of courage and a lot of work to get to that point where you even know if you can speak, you're in front of an audience. But it also takes a lot of courage, like to get up there, to give your speech, no matter what happens, and to stick with it. And even in the beginning, I knew she was nervous in the beginning. You could just tell, of speaking in the beginning. And I was sitting in the back of the room just praying. And then it was like, all of a sudden, she got her confidence, she got her stride, and she did amazing. But it was just such a good lesson for people when you're starting something, is you do have to like take that step of faith, get up there and go, okay, I have a lot of doubts, I have a lot of fears, and I got to do it. But then that's when she got the confirmation from the Holy Spirit of like, this is what I'm called to do.
All right, so I got to go back a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
So first of all, were your parents there at the speech?
No, they weren't.
Okay, I knew that, but as the words tripped out of over my mouth, I knew that. Stephanie said in a couple minutes ago, this is important because there are people watching this or making decisions, and their parents are saying one thing. What did your parents do? Well, first of all, Stephanie, did you take a gap year?
No.
Okay, and I, just for the viewers know, I not only didn't take a gap year, I left the week after I graduated. I could not wait to get out of there and get as far away from my parents as I could. And I was on a debate scholarship. The only other people who were in the summer at this college are football players. So it was a dorm full of football players and me, the debate nerd. And it turned out being a great thing because we became friends, and they were like kind of like protective of this little nerdy guy. And because I had to get away, where I imagine your parents are supportive of you, or you would be in college right now, so your parents are supportive of this decision. But what were they doing during that 10 months while you still weren't sure and you were still entertaining college? What were your parents doing?
They were just supporting me, saying like, everyone's path is different, and like, don't rush into college and then regret it, in a sense, kind of like how I like could have been doing this all along if I didn't go to college. But I think something that's really important to me is like they always kind of show that they will never get in the way of what God's doing in my life. They're going to let him take the lead because they trust him. And they, growing up, they taught me how to have that like same trust in him as well. So they were just, I guess we were all just trusting God in those 10 months.
That's great. So their agenda was your agenda, which was God's plan, and which half the people watching this, before I leave the topic of the parents, when you got home and you're like, I did it, what was their response?
They were just so proud of me, and I think they like knew how much like work I put into it and how nervous I was because that morning I like didn't talk. I was like so nervous before I got there, and so I think they were just like proud of me for like taking that step, and they were just over the moon for me, and I was really excited about their reaction too because I'm like, oh, like this like means something.
I think that it's important, and if Emily was here, she would point this out, that it's important that you acknowledge those nerves, and that the nerves aren't a reason to not do something. Brian Regan, the stand-up comedian, he used to have terrible stage fright before he would go out, one of the most popular comedians in the world, and then he realized every time he was nervous, something good would happen. Right. So he was nervous, and he's still nervous now going out on stage. But when he goes out on stage, he gets applause. People laugh at his jokes. So he reframed these nerves as these nerves mean something good's going to happen, not something scary. And that's kind of what happened to you. If I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's kind of what.
No, yeah,
what happened to you in the middle of it when you had that pivot point.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Right, continue, ladies.
Oh yeah, no, I want to say is you said maybe half of them are watching, if you look at parents and maybe aren't, I would say it's more than that. And I think I took a note somewhere because you had told me, your mom has told you is she didn't want to get in a way because I, as a mentor, like it's this balance of, I'm like, are your parents mad that, like, I didn't know if her parents had an agenda or a dream or an idea because I think a lot of times parents do. And she was just like, no, my mom doesn't want to get in the way of what God's doing. And you ended up giving your speech to your parents, didn't you?
I did. I got home and I was like, I'll just read it to you. And they were both like crying. And I was like, oh, that like meant something. It's not just words.
So I like that, or I don't like, but I like that you pointed out that it probably is over half because teaching college students, you're probably right that it's over half. So in 300, when you teach 300, it's research about your major. And so, and there are half of them, these are juniors at this point, half of them don't like their major. And that just breaks my heart because they only have one more year left and they already don't like their major. And so I was talking to this one girl and she absolutely 100% didn't want to be in college. She's a junior and didn't want to be, she was a psychology major, didn't want to be a psychologist. And I said, then why is this your major? And she said when she was in 8th grade, her parents took her out for a drive out in the country and said, if you're going in 8th grade before high school, if you're going to college, you're going to be a psychologist or we're not paying for it. So she had no choice. And I said, okay, so I can understand that, but there's not a single area of, so this is a Holy Spirit moment. There's not a single area of psychology that in the least bit interests you. And she's like, no, it's been 3 years of torture. I can't stand it. Later that night, it was on the radio. So it must've been in my car. I heard this program about psychologists tattoo psychologists, people that use tattoo therapy in their psychology to tell us it's a way of expressing I don't have any tattoos, but it's a way of expressing yourself. And this girl that I had just had that conversation with 6 hours, 8 hours earlier, was her whole arms were covered with sleeves because she was lashing out against her parents. And so the next day in class, I told her in front of the entire class, I heard this program, blah, 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 blah. And this other girl says, yeah, that's why I have mine, is to express myself. It kind of bothers me when there's two female janitors who would grab her arms sometimes to read her story off of her arms. And but she's like, that's why I put it there. So that girl kind of confirmed for the first girl, and that like, oh, maybe there is this little slim area of psychology. And so that's what she wound up researching that semester, because it's research for your major. She didn't have to change her major, and that's what she does for a living now. And that's her passion. And there's no way I would have ever found a radio program about tattoos, psychotherapy.
Right.
And but now she's happy with her job, with what she's going to do for the rest of her life. And I love that Sarah never has had another job. Like, did you
writing
you never
and speaking?
you never had like a lemonade stand or anything when you were a little girl?
I don't think I ever did.
Oh my goodness. This truly is her first job. She was born to speak, man.
You need a shirt that says that. Maybe for people getting started, like, because I do come across that a lot of people who are authors want to be speakers. You know, and I've been a speaker for 2 decades. But maybe talk a little bit about like how you got started or how you choose your topic. Like, you know, think about the audience. They're an author like you were an author first, and like maybe just a couple of tips.
Yeah. So to start off, actually, can you tell a story about when we were at the holiday market? Because I wasn't planning on speaking until that happened.
Oh, yeah.
So back in December, we were at a holiday market together, and Stephanie was talking about this one lady, and she said, if this lady comes by, I'm gonna introduce you.
Yeah. Yes, I will tell this story. So I had spoken at this event before, and I had a feeling like, oh, maybe this lady will come to this market. And I said, if this lady comes to the market, I'm going to tell her that you're a speaker. Even though Sarah hadn't done any speaking, nothing. We were probably just in the beginning, but it was like, I knew it was going to be around Lent. So it's like, we'll have plenty of time to get you ready and would you, and I said, if so, like, you're going to have to introduce yourself. And that lady ended up being our first customer of the day at the market. And I, you know, talk about a Holy Spirit moment. It was like, oh my gosh, Sarah, this is the lady. And from there on, I think that was just a confirmation, you know, like, I know it was for me that Sarah was on the right path of speaking, but hopefully, I mean, maybe you speak to that of like, was that a confirmation for you? And
yeah, it definitely was. Because at first I'm like, speaking, like, I don't want to speak somewhere. But then I was like, I've like always wanted to, but I've just been like so scared for it. And so that was like okay, God, like, I'll just listen to you, I guess. I don't want to go against what you're saying. So I think it was just really cool, like, see that, and that she was like our first customer, and that she was like so excited about me being like young too. Because for me personally, every time I go speak somewhere, since I'm only 19 years old, I'm so scared they're going to be like, we're not going to listen to you. What do you know about, you know, life in general? And I get so nervous. And then they always end up being like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay. I'm like,
talk about your audience age.
Yeah. So all the ones I've spoken at, they're probably like 45 and over, like the older. So I can't relate to them pretty much. So it's hard to like, it's not hard to like connect with them, but it is sometimes hard to like relate to them, because I feel like they've lived so much more like life than me, and I always get scared like I'm not, you know, they're like gonna judge me for being so young, and they're just like not gonna listen to what I'm saying when I'm up there, but they always do. So I always am very surprised with people.
But that leads to the next thing, the next whatever chapter, the next section I was going to talk about is comparative life experience as a speaker. Stephanie has 2 decades. You have 2 months. What can you do to prepare yourself? And I want Sarah to answer this, because there's gonna be times where you show up and you thought there's going to be a mic and a sound system, and there's not, and Stephanie's not going to be there to go, oh, well, do this. Those are all experiences that you just have to have. They're going to happen, and you have the benefit of 20 years of a speaker sitting next to you to go, oh, well, this happened and this happened. But those things are going to happen. Do you tell us your strong points of how you're flexible in it, how you can handle that kind of stuff? I've been at conferences where I was speaking on 6 things and they're like, oh, we had a cancellation. Can you go speak on this thing? I'm like, yeah, sure. and when tomorrow? No, in about 5 hours. Okay, no problem. And so that can happen. What in your constitution, what in your makeup has prepared you to be able to do that eventually?
Honestly, I'm gonna be very transparent here. I think just trusting God, and that sounds so simple, but being like, if something happens, I'm not gonna get in a tizzy about it, because I know like it's for a reason, and like he isn't gonna fail me. So just putting all my trust in him and being like, there's like no mic, okay, I'll just speak louder, and just kind of being able to adapt like very quickly and not getting shaken up by anything, which is very simple, but I feel like it's
No, that's great, because just because you didn't know that invitation was coming, the last minute thing was coming, that doesn't mean that God didn't know, because God did know that it was coming, and it wouldn't have come if you weren't ready for it. You just don't know you're ready for it till you're in the middle of it. What's the weirdest thing that's happened to you, Stephanie? And hopefully Sarah doesn't know, and I want to see her expression when you say that.
Um,
Maybe she knows.
I don't know if I've had weird things. I mean, I've had difficult on multiple occasions. I've had people come up to me and tell me they were thinking about committing suicide. I've had people come up to me telling me that they're in abusive relationships. So they're not weird, but those are, I remember the first time it happened, I was kind of taken back. You actually had that happen, though. Now that I think about it, I forgot. Sarah had that happen to her. It wasn't a suicide. But you have to what I learned is people feel like they feel like they know you because you were on stage, you made a connection with them, and they assume you're going to leave. You're going to leave, they can dump on you and take it. But do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I was at this table like signing books for people, and this like girl just started like coming up to me and started talking about how like just stuff that was like happening in her life, and I was like, I don't know how to respond to you, because I'm not like a therapist. I'm just like, and it was like heavy stuff too, so I'm like, am I carrying this now too? Like, is this like my burden to carry now too? And Stephanie was like across the room. I was like, I wish she was here right now. And then I was like, no, I can do it. So I was just like, just like, honestly, just like, Holy Spirit, come to me. Just like, what do I say? Because I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, that's terrible, and then create like a snowball effect. But I was just nodding and being like, because I was like, I don't know if like who she is or what's, it was just very difficult for me. So then after, I'm like, Stephanie, and she was like, it's normal, like it's not good that it's normal, I feel like, but it's like you have to kind of like get used to that to be a speaker, because people trust you. So it was like it felt so like delicate, because I was like carrying the like weight of like what she was carrying too, but I was like, I'm just gonna like pray for you and you can just go on your way. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, I just like I can't really help you. But
and we talked about it because she had already talked to me. That lady had come up to me. I think she thought I was Sarah's mom. A lot of people that day thought I was Sarah's mom. And but so I had seen it, across the room. But it's like we have to experience that and be compassionate. And you did great. Is you just sit and listen, and pray for her. And I mean, that's all we can do in those situations.
That's what I was going to say. So when we share, they share, and that it is going to be a common thing that happens, and so you might as well get used to it. But the answer is what you did. You just listen. You listen and you nod, and you have genuine human compassion because you're a human being, and they appreciate it, and they remember that. But the bigger the crowd, the more it happens.
Mm-hmm.
You two made a conscious decision to, so this is your first career, and this is Stephanie's, I don't know what number career, but made a conscious decision. I'm going to be a speaker. Where in my case, I just started being a speaker at conferences, and once I started speaking, I got more invitations and more invitations, and it never. The reason I'm pointing out the thing that you said at the beginning that was paid, it never occurred to me that people do this and don't get paid. And then until, I mean, I've probably been doing it for a few years, so I realized, oh, there's some places that don't want to pay you, and talk through that decision. Like, obviously you guys knew it, that maybe you weren't so blind to it as I was, but I was like, oh, they want me to do this for free. Talk about how you decide.
You want me to?
Both of you.
Okay. Well, I'll take it. Like, I knew two of the events that Sarah did, I had done before, and I knew they were paid. So that was the expectation I set for Sarah, is they paid me, they will pay you. Like, like, don't go in and offer to do it for free. For me, I always, as like being a speaker long term, it's, up front is, what's your budget? And then you wait for their response. And a lot of times they have a budget. If they don't have a budget, then that's, for me, and maybe you can talk about that for what you're going to do or what you've thought about doing, is, for me, I always think it's a call. It depends. I don't know. Every situation's different. And there's some that I do for free, and I couldn't really give you a reason why. A lot of times it's the audience, like, or maybe who's asking. I don't know. If it's close, it's, for me, I'm always like, it's about the connection. It's not about the money. I don't do it for the money. It's about, God has given me a gift. God's given me a message. And, if he's going to lead me somewhere, and, my mission has always been me, one person looking to make a difference in one other person's life. And, praying that there'll be one person in that audience who needed that message that day. So, but also there is that balance of, like, this is my business and my time is worth something. So yeah, I just say, I don't know. Every situation is different. And there will be people who have been speaking as long as I have that would say, never do anything for free. Don't give away your time. And I just don't agree with that, because I've had amazing things happen when I've spoken for free. I've met amazing people. Like, if you're always wrapped up in the money, there's not an opportunity for God to do other things that are not related to money. So that's
my answer now too, is that, like, if you don't worry about the money, God, like, it's all God's money. So if you don't worry about the money, then the money will come to get to where you're supposed to go. I want to hear Sarah's answer now, that after 2 months of experience speaking.
What was the question? Sorry, that
was just about, like,
how you're gonna pick between a free job and a paying job.
Yeah.
I feel like it's all about how you're gonna impact people, and how, like, because anytime I speak, I, like, hope that they leave feeling better, or, like, knowing Jesus more, because I speak on faith. So I'm like, if they had, like, a revelation, or they got, like, convicted, like, then I feel like my job was, like, done almost. So I don't really care about the, like, money. All I care about is just leading people to the cross, and just having people live like Jesus and for Jesus. So as long as I do that, I think I don't really care about the money or whatever.
Okay. What can you tell us about the new book?
It's a poetry book, and it's all about grief because I first started writing poems when my grandpa passed away, because that was like the first like big loss I've ever like experienced in my life. And it was almost 3 years ago. So I was probably like 15 or 16 at the time, and I had like so many emotions I didn't know like what to do with it. And so I just started writing poetry, and it never meant to be a book. I was like, this is just gonna stay for me, because like they're like so personal and so emotional. And then as I started writing about like that loss, I felt like the like weight of like more losses, because like a decade long friendship ended. So there were like the like grief and like that too. So I started writing poems about that. And then I graduated high school, and I felt like there's like a lot of growing pains with growing up and leaving people and everything like that. So I wrote about that. And then I also touched on like experiences that like I've never like shared about before. Like there was like a lockdown at my school last year, and again like, or not last, 2 years ago, and there are so many emotions with that too. Like there was like so much like I was like so scared, and everything just like started happening. So then it was on the drive home that I wrote that poem from school, and I was like, this is just gonna stay here forever. Like I'm not gonna share it. It's too personal. And then I started like writing more and more, and I'm like, wait, if it's vulnerable, I feel like it means something. And so I just started like putting them together. And then the like last part of the book is all about like healing and stuff. So now it's like a like happy ending at the book.
Ready for the big question?
Oh gosh. Go for it.
I wanted to put a bunch of tension and nerve inflection in my voice. What do you say? Two things. It's a two-part question. What do you say to the non-believers listening who aren't connecting with our Christianity, but not specifically about that topic, but on what drives you? Try to explain to a non-believer what drives you without saying God or Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the first part of that question, I think whether you are a believer or not, everybody talks to God, no matter if you believe in Him or not. So I would say just talking out loud. You don't have to believe that anything is being heard by anybody, but I think if you just like talk out loud, and you might see things like start to happen, and you might have like a transformation. But what drives me besides God and the whole, I think my passion, like the like love I have for what I'm doing, because I feel like I've gotten feedback from my talks and my books that like I'm helping people. And so I think that just like knowing that I'm helping people, it just drives me to like write more and speak more and just like do more all around.
And there's common, believer, non-believer, everyone has experienced grief, right? And so there's common life experiences. Stephanie has more of them than you have, but you'll have them. What is your answer to that, Stephanie? Same question.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I was thinking this for Sarah because, now I love writing. Like I love to sit down and write a story, whether it's a nonfiction story, something personal that maybe I've been through, or now writing fiction. So I think it's turned into a love of writing. And it's very rare today to get to do what you love to do, a lot. And I was in the corporate world for 15 years, and I knew that there was something else I wanted to be doing with my time. But also, you got to pay the bills and put in your time and pay the bills and build up. But for me, I think it's the love. And I knew, in 1997, when I stepped on my first stage, was like, oh my gosh, I love speaking. Even though I'm still all these, that's 3 decades. I still get nervous every time I get on stage, but I love it. And I love that, not necessarily the person that's dumping on you. I still love those people, but I can remember a lady when I was in Alaska, and for some reason I rarely share about the infertility journey that my husband and I have been on. And I felt like I was supposed to share it that day. And so I weaved it in, and this lady comes up to me and she's like, nobody ever talks about that. And like my husband and I, and so for me, that's why I love, it's that personal connection. It's making somebody feel seen. And I think it's important to be vulnerable and to tell the truth and be authentic to who you are. So that would probably be my answer.
Yeah, if it
But I
doesn't
know
matter.
you love writing. I've had to grow to love writing. Sarah started out loving writing.
Well, what I was gonna say, it doesn't matter if it's two decades or 2 months or 3 decades, 3 months. That is, you're still you, right? The important thing is that you're authentic and you be yourself. I want to wind this up before Sarah gives a call to action with focusing on the whole idea that there's so many people who hate their job, right? And we all love our job. No, y'all, stop going and go. I know there's bills to pay, but you can find something that you love that will pay the bills. You can. But this, but that, but that. Our book has 30 but this, but that's in it, right? That's what every chapter is. And you might not be a writer, but you can create something. You can go coach something. You can go do something you love. You don't, it doesn't even matter if you're 50, 60, 70. Like, don't spend the rest of your life doing something you don't love. I like that there's both ends of the spectrum there, that Sarah set out to do what she loves from day one, where Stephanie and I have had jobs we didn't like. But you said 1997. I've already said this on a previous episode. In 1999, I made the decision to never go anywhere I didn't want to go with someone I didn't want to go with, to do something I didn't want to do. And it's been smooth sailing since then. I just made up my mind. And so talk about that, doing what you love.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's just just do it. Like, no one really cares that much. Like, just do what you love and live a life that you want to live, and I think you'll be happy with that.
It's interesting you say that, because I do think a lot of people make decisions based off of other people. To your point, Jon Meyers, of you were talking about that student, like, this is what her parents told you, or like Sarah's a perfect example of somebody going way against what the norm is. And not only from not just going to colleges, she didn't go get a skill to be a plumber, or you know what I mean, like a mechanic. It's like, no, I'm going to be something creative, and I'm learning along the way, and getting mentored and having a coach. And do you want to talk about what you're starting to do now and getting into?
Yeah, I'm going to be an editor at Stephanie's publishing company. So I'm starting to get into all that stuff too, which is really fun.
Mm-hmm. But she's having to learn how to do that, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to be an editor today. But you said even just starting to study and learn, and we've already got her. I'm not a mentor in that, so we already have her a mentor in that. But that's even revigorated you, and we knew it was something. And I had asked her the first time. I'd asked her hey, maybe you want to do this as we expand the publishing company. And then I asked her again, are you sure? Don't just say yes just to say yes. But do you want to talk about after you did some training and stuff?
Yeah, so I did an online course to kind of get started with it. And I told Stephanie, I rediscovered my love for writing. Because I feel like being an author, and you write so much that it feels like work sometimes, instead of just writing what you love. So I think through that course, I was wait, this is why I love writing. I forgot to just like have fun when I'm writing, not like be so serious. So I think it just made me feel like a kid again almost. Like I was like writing like something fun for school. So I think I like found that like passion again, like deeper this time too.
I love that. That when Emily and I wrote this book, she has that passion as well. Like we each wrote 15 chapters, and she gave me note after note after note. Every one of them good, right? I gave her like 2 notes on her 15 chapters, and both of them were, and to her credit, she followed through it. Both of them were, do more of this. Like, I do more of this, and she did on both times. But I'm not a fan of editing, but there are people that are, and again, don't go anywhere you don't want to go with someone you don't want to go with to do something you don't want to do. That falls into place. If you like editing, man, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's smart.
I think something too for like writers out there is, I think sometimes once your work gets edited, it can kind of like, you can kind of get like upset that like someone like made a mark on it. Like you can be like, oh, like I like love that line, but you don't. I don't know. I just feel like it's important to like know that like it's okay to like not like every single one of the edits that they make, because it's still your book. Like it's not like their book, it's just your book.
There's people who've worked on the same screenplay for 20 years, and they're like, I can't touch my precious whatever. It should have started on page 25, and there's 25 pages that need to go in the garbage, and they just can't. And that's why they've been working on it for 20 years too. They can't see through that. So part of the job is being a psychologist. Like, how do you, like a coach, like how do you convince that person to do what's good for them?
Yeah, I think it's part of it, but I also think like at least the editors that I've worked with, it's like, to what Sarah said, is it's your book. It's your book. You can do what you want. It's also why, at least in my publishing company, when I get ready to publish somebody's book, is I talk to them about what their goal is. Because it's very different if your goal is to have a book published versus to build a business around a book, or you know what I mean? Like, or to get it traditionally published. So if your goal is just to have a book, then if you want to keep that line, keep the line. If you want to keep those 25 pages, keep those 25 pages. So everybody's going to be a little bit different. But you also have to be reflective too. There's many times I've looked at stuff that an editor said and I didn't like it, but then I had to ask myself, why don't I like that? Why don't I like that? And a lot of times it was like I had something in there that was prideful. There was no reason it needed to be in there. And the editor saw that and it's like, take that out. It doesn't add or subtract to the story. And you're like, oh yeah, you're right. I need to take it out. So I think it is a balance, and depending on the goal of your book and your writing, what you're trying to accomplish.
Every time I get a note, I don't have that reflex of the note's wrong. I have this reflex of, I'm not explaining this paragraph isn't explaining the point I'm trying to explain well enough. How can I explain it better? Right. And so if I get a tough note, I exhaust myself trying to be like, how can I, and I'm talking about nonfiction now, but how can I explain this paragraph? How can I explain this point if you were sitting across the table from me? How can I explain this better? Because this editor who knows what they're doing, it isn't getting it. So it's not because they don't know what they're doing. It's because I didn't explain it well enough.
Yeah. And I think it depends what the edit is too. To your point is maybe it isn't explained well and you got to figure that out. Other times it's, why are you using this versus this, or whatever. So yeah, it depends on what the edit is or what the recommendation is, I think.
So do we convince everyone to quit their job and go do what they love?
I don't know. I will say I got laid off my corporate job a year ago, and it's, what an answered prayer, because I get to do stuff that I wasn't able to do before, and get to do the things Sarah and I are doing, and things we're going to be working on over the summer and the fall and hopefully years to come. So
all those excuses, I can't because of this, I can't because of that. 8 times out of 10, 4 times out of 5, those are the reasons why you should do it, because you're the only one that can do it. Oh, the world doesn't need another podcast. Yeah, but there's only one podcast that you can do. The world doesn't need the 3 billionth podcast, but there's only one that you can do. There's only one book, one memoir. There's only one story you can tell in a way that no one else can do it. That's why when people worry about, oh, someone's going to steal my log line if I share it, the log line of my screenplay or of my novel. If they steal it, they're not going to be able to write the same book you're going to be able to write with the same whatever Jack and the Beanstalk premise. All 3 of us would write a different Jack and the Beanstalk story.
Mhm.
So don't worry about that.
Yeah.
All right, do what you love, people. What's the call to action, Sarah?
It might be a little awkward, but set your phone up on like a platform or whatever and just start recording and talk for like 15 seconds or like 60 like maybe like 2 minutes, which is a long time, but just like start like talking and then either like post it or just like keep it to yourself and just start like working on that and then kind of like build that up to like a talk and then put yourself out there and go become a public speaker.
How do they get the results of their assignment to us, Stephanie?
Oh, yes. They can comment in the show notes,
Yes.
Facebook comments, which our Facebook is Write Better Together Now, or the comments in the YouTube video.
Cool. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Okay, so we had a great conversation with Sarah. Good call to action. Any thoughts?
Does Sarah know who Michael Essany is?
Probably not.
No. Is she back behind you?
Yes, she is. She says no.
Sarah, look up Michael Essany.
Oh, there you go. Google.
Find him, track him. You 19-year-olds can find anybody on TikTok.
I know. I said, I hope he's still alive. We keep talking about him.
All right.
Any thoughts after our interview?
Yeah, I like the biggest takeaway for me is that she doesn't, I don't want to say she's unflinchable. She handled those questions really well of what happens when someone throws you a monkey wrench, right? And to have that emotional maturity at 19, just imagine when she's your age.
I know. What's she gonna be doing?
Were you like that when you were her age?
I would probably say no, but I can't recall like any major things happening at that age, when I was speaking. And I feel like when I got to the point where things did happen, you just learn, like, don't make a big deal, roll with the punches, just go with it. And I think because I've seen speakers who do make a big deal about it, and you're like, you're just making it worse. Like, you're just making it worse. And so just keep going, like, yeah.
Did you ever, because even though I had 20 years corporate life too, I had owned a gourmet food store. I had owned a gift basket supply company. I had done other entrepreneur things before I became a writer. Before you became a writer, did you do any other entrepreneur things?
Yeah, I had a professional organizing business called Innovative Organizing.
Oh, when you were a little kid, did you have a lemonade stand? I had a comic book stand. I did not have a lemonade stand, but I had a comic book stand. I
probably had a lemonade stand, I feel like. Yeah, and in school, you're always selling stuff. I feel like that's entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
you're always like magazines and whatever. But yeah, I feel like I always had a lemonade stand every summer. Garage sales, trying to make money.
And you can remember actively doing that.
Oh, yeah. I can remember a garage sale we would do almost every year at one of my friends' house, and it's like all your stuff over there and price and wheel and deal with people and learn to negotiate and, yeah.
That's important. And then Emily and I had talked about this on a different episode. There are people who are watching this who just like live in a city or in a skyrise, right? That they're like, their kids have never even seen a lemonade stand. Like, they don't understand that there's other little kids that are like, have a card table with lemonade out, selling you a cup of lemonade for $1 off a sidewalk. What? That's crazy. I live in a skyscraper. Well, there's people that really do that, and they still do that in 2025.
Yes, and I would say always stop. Like if you
Yeah.
can stop, or if you're walking by, like stop and get something. So that would
Stop
be
and
my
buy this little chicken.
yes, exactly. Always support what a kid's doing. That's my theory.
That was the other thing. We changed topics already, but
That's
there were
fine.
66 booths, right?
Oh,
I wanted to give them all some money, but I couldn't buy 66 little chickens. And so I walked the whole thing, and I was like, I'm just going to pick one, and that's going to be my part. But I would say of 66 of them, over half, let's say 40, were like, hey, mister, you need this magnet? Or do you need this dragon I made with a 3D printer? And like they were like these little entrepreneur guys, and then 20 of them were just sitting there. And
yeah.
uh
Trying to do their sales.
yeah, but anyway, I as rich as I am, I couldn't afford 66 different purchases that day.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be fun. Hey, Jon Meyers,
Yes.
do you know, totally changing gears, what edition we are on for the Chicago Manual of Style?
I know we went to 9 100 years ago, and so
Way off. You want to know? 18.
holy moly.
Look how big this thing is.
Yeah.
I bought it for Sarah. It came in the mail. I mean, you could lift weights with this thing. It is so. I handed it to her while she's sitting over there, and I was like, "Here, read this." Because her mentor said, "Okay, if you're going to be an editor, you need to know this." So, do you want to hear some of the updates that they made?
Yeah. So first of all, I agree with that editor mentor that you get to college, and then if you're in sciences, they want you to use APA, and if you're in English, they want you to use MLA. But we learned, and my minor was folk studies. We used Chicago and folk studies, so I had to learn all three. But we learned in high school use Chicago, and so I agree with that Chicago advice.
Yeah, that's what Sarah said when I was talking to her about it. Is you took a journalism class, didn't you? Journalism class, and that's what they had used. But she didn't have the manual, so I bought the manual. It's like, here you go, study up. But do you want to hear some of the changes that they made or additions?
Sure.
Okay, so capitalization of identity terms. Terms like indigenous are now capitalized when referring to people acknowledging cultural identities and preferences.
Yes.
I like this one because I always find it a pain in the butt. Omission of place of publication. Citations for books no longer require the city or place of publication, simplifying references.
True.
I like that one. This one I thought was funny. Emojis in text. Guidance is provided on punctuating sentences that include emojis. Do you include emojis in your writing?
No. I had to think there for a second if I ever have. No, I have not.
At first I was like, no, but in my fiction book, I think I do because they text back and forth. But we had to check to see what emojis were available when the book was set, because how they release new emojis. So that's a tip to the authors out there. If you're using emojis and if you're writing in a certain, year, make sure that emoji was around. And then the last one is around hashtags. Recommendations suggest capitalizing the first letter of each word in hashtags to improve readability and accessibility. So those are some of the
I agree with that 100%. No one does that except for me. I don't know anyone else that does that. Do you do that?
I don't know if I got to see if I've used hashtags in books. So
if it's if it's hashtag stupid walk, I capitalize stupid and I capitalize walk.
Right.
Or hashtag write better together. W, B, and T are all capitalized, and it makes it easier to read. And I've always done that, and I will continue to do it. Thank you, Chicago, for catching up with me. I appreciate that.
Wonderful. So that's what I have for Hey Jon Meyers. A little education. Oh, that bell means, do you know what the bell means? It means subscribe to the podcast, leave a star rating and review so that others can find us. And we appreciate it. I always say, well, you love to say is like, this is right better together. We're all part of a community. And so contribute to the community.
Did you say for them to like us?
Yeah.
You know what I want?
Oh, or like us on Facebook or Instagram.
Or on YouTube. You can like something
Or
on YouTube.
Yes.
I want them to like me, though. Like, yes, like the pod.
You like Jon Meyers.
Like the podcast, yeah, but send me letters, physical letters that say you like how much you like me.
Oh my gosh. Humble. Okay.
Don't you want people to like you? You're the alternative is people don't like you. You don't want that. You want to be likable.
I'm trying not to be like a people pleaser. It's like you can't please everybody. Not
No,
everybody.
I didn't say be a people pleaser. I said people should like you.
Well, it's debatable.
I'm gonna go see this woman speak that I can't stand. No, you want people to like you.
I guess it's something I don't really think about. Do people like me? I don't know. I don't care.
You're just automatically likable.
I guess. What are you reading?
Oh my goodness. I'm still reading, but Sarah better close her ears. I'm still reading that racy stand-up guy by...
Are you making it through it?
Yeah. Stand-up guy by Nina Kay. It's getting hotter. That's all I can say. And then the new book I'm reading, Barry Sonnenfeld, Call Your Mother. It's a memoir-ish thing of Barry Sonnenfeld, a memoir of a neurotic filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
I am not neurotic, but...
You're reading about one?
I'm reading about... He's really funny. Every book in the to be read pile, they're all funny one way or the other. So
I've been reading this for a long time. I mean, like 2 years. I wish I would have marked a date when I. And it's called the Holy Bible. It's called Visioneering by Andy Stanley. But I picked it back up this week and made myself finish it, and I really like it. It's your guide for discovering and maintaining personal vision. And it's wrapped around the story of Nehemiah in the Bible. But I have a lot of notes and follow up. And this week, really looking at like the projects that I'm working on. And people can do this. I mean, obviously with your business, with books that you're working on, I do speaking stuff, your podcast, whatever, fill in the blank what you're working on. But just talking about like, what is your vision? What is your mission? Why are you doing what you're doing? What are your core values? What are your beliefs? And I haven't spent a lot of time doing that in the different areas, and I need to visit it for my press company and for the events that, I host and put on. So it was a really good book. I recommend it. So Visioneering by Andy Stanley. Do you know the Christian comedian Andy somebody's last name I'm forgetting? Andy, and he writes inspirational like little... Oh yeah, Andy Andrews. Andy Andrews. Have you met him? No, I would love to, and I've read all his books. I met him when he was nobody. And he used to sell Amway. How about that? He might still sell... Homeless, sleeping underneath a bridge. It's an incredible story. He might still sell Amway for all I know, but he signed up this guy I knew in Alabama named Cabell Outlaw. How's that for a name? Cabell Outlaw, and who was also a Christian. And Cabell Outlaw sold so much Amway
that he owned a marina and a restaurant in Mobile, Alabama, a marina
wow.
in Orange Beach, Alabama. He was able to equal his income by selling Amway because everyone liked him that much. He was just a likable guy. Talk
There
about
you go.
being
That's why
likable.
people need to like you.
So I can sell
So they
Amway.
buy what you sell. Okay. You got the final act?
Hold, please.
Oh, I like your chair.
You've never seen the chair before?
No.
Oh. My whole guest room is that color. Office used to be that color. Today, you will be playing for this fun food toys.
Oh, okay.
So it's got pizza, it's got chicken. I spent a
Oh,
whole
my
$1.25
favorite
on this, so you better appreciate it. And
Did you get
look,
it at the
it
Dollar
only
Tree?
has the top of a hamburger bun. What?
Did you get it at the Dollar Tree?
No, I got it at Mighty Dollar.
Oh, okay.
It only has the top of a hamburger bun. What kind of toy is that? That's not right. And then
Peaches kids, you don't get everything you want.
Well, what are you going to do with just the top? You're going to have to put the hamburger bun between two pieces of fake pizza. And then it says up in the corner, big sale. What are you sell? Who's selling this plastic food? And then it says, build your own stunt. That's what it says. Build your own stunt. The more you play with me, the happier I will be. The best present to the kids. Build your own stunt. That doesn't even make sense.
Somebody didn't edit that correctly.
That's what you win. So, in a previous episode, you can spot danger from you see danger coming. In a previous episode, I told you we were going to play Does Anna Kendrick Have a Knife? But I was like, first of all, I don't have the rights to play Does Anna Kendrick Have a Knife? You have no idea what's going on the internet anyway, and because you're fasting from the internet. But you would be perfect to play that game because you would be able to spot someone coming at you with a knife, right?
I hope so.
I think so. And so I don't have the rights for Anna Kendrick, but I do have the rights to these 3 characters I created in a previous episode with Emily. They had to grow up a little bit taller to conceal a knife behind them.
Okay.
But here we go.
Are you here to save me?
These 3 characters, one of them have a knife behind them. And so character number 1, look, they're standing in front of a lineup, is a bird. See this bird? He's a bird. He's a crow, actually. So he might have a knife behind him.
Okay.
Number 2 is an octopus, and those are waves underneath the octopus because he had to stand up on something. Number 3, it was a baby on the Emily episode. Now the baby's grown up to be a teenager. And ignore the fact that all of their hands are on their side. One of them indeed does have a knife hidden behind them. You see these 3 approaching you in an alley. Which one are you the most frightened by? You have to disqualify 2 of them and tell me for reasons, and then tell me why the third one you've determined is carrying the knife. Former police officer Stephanie L. Jones.
Well, I would say the teenager. That's who I would suspect as the knife because an octopus has to be in water, so they would not be in an alley. And
there's water. That's water underneath him.
I know, but there's not going to be water in the alley. You said waves. You said those were waves. And
okay.
a bird doesn't have hands to carry a knife.
He has little wings.
I said they use their beak to carry stuff. So I'm going to say the teenager.
The teenager. All right. Does Sarah want to pop over here and vote?
Probably no. She said no.
Oh my gosh. I don't know the process of elimination. Look at that creepy hand coming out. It is not the octopus.
Okay. Good. I have 50-50 chance.
It is. Ooh, there's stains on the lineup. Does that happen in real life when when you're looking at criminals up against a lineup? Do, do they leave stains
Probably
when
sweaty.
when they walk away? Does the teenager have a knife? Oh,
I
he does
lost.
not.
Wah, wah, wah.
That crazy crow must have a knife. Let's see. Oh, he has a knife that came out of the same toy, the toy kit that you did not win. And I had to paint it silver so it looked more threatening. How about that?
You have too
I
much
went to
time on your
great
hands.
detail for this work. Sorry, you didn't win.
Darn it.
You're gonna have to eat this. I'm gonna have to eat this fake pizza and this half of a hamburger bun. And I don't even know. That's a chicken leg right there. I don't know what that is. What is that?
Oh, it looks like
Gobbler.
a chicken wing or something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
We couldn't have done
Couldn't have
it.
done it without you.